The last of the Beatitudes is the 8th Beatitude. It says, blessed are the persecuted. Now we'll take a little different perspective than that word persecuted, because it has a pretty strong negative connotation in our society. Instead, what we're going to use is the word martyr, one who sacrifices themselves, takes one for the team, you might even say. The interesting thing about this particular Beatitude is it's repeated twice. It's the only one that is repeated twice. And so it's stated, and then immediately in the verse below that, it's stated again as kind of a bridge to the rest of the text. But I find that repetitiveness is very, very significant, and that this becomes really an anchor principle that you've really got to grasp and understand to be successful in business. So why would I say that it's important to be a martyr to be successful in business? Well, think about it from this perspective. You've got to be willing to sacrifice to enable somebody else to gain. Now, if you ever read the book The Go-Giver, which is a brilliant book, and every business owner and really any manager whatsoever should read that book. Phenomenal, phenomenal book with great, great ideas. But a lot of what it teaches is a concept that we might even refer to as pay it forward. And the idea is I'm going to give and I'm going to establish more value, and I'm going to serve you first. And then what that's going to do is that's going to create a beholdenness to me, the idea that you're going to want to work with me because I've already given you value. There was a movie a while back, Pay It Forward, was the concept of that movie as well. And the idea is that if we could do this, where we were initiating first, giving first, and then allowing people to return that gift at a later date, that there would be a transformation in our society. I think that principle holds very, very true inside of business as well. A couple applications of this principle in real life. First of all, I believe in a top-down approach from the standpoint of responsibility. So let me explain it to you this way. Anything that goes on, that needs to drift down to the lowest person on the totem pole, to the very most entry-level individual that you have. All of the praise, all of the benefits needs to always fall down on the team. But if there is a problem, no matter who created that problem, even if it was one of your staff members, even if they went off scripted something differently, ultimately who's responsible for that problem? Well, if I'm sitting in the number one chair, if I'm the CEO or the president or the owner, founder of the business, then that's my responsibility. And I always need to take ownership of that particular problem. Particularly from this perspective, even if my guys have not done something correctly, if they went out and they, again, went off script, didn't do what I thought that they were supposed to do, treated a customer the way that I would not want them to be treated, before I go and jump on those guys and get angry at them and throw them under the bus and say, you know, I wish I could find some good employees, which we hear a lot from folks that own businesses, really I need to take ownership of that myself and say, I didn't train those people correctly. I didn't give them the right instructions. I didn't provide the opportunity for them to really know what they were supposed to do. So I had a real life scenario for this happen a while back where I had a supervisor come in and I'm very upset with a particular direct report of theirs, and we're even talking about the termination word. I think I'm ready to just get rid of this guy. He just doesn't get it. Just doesn't get it. So it's okay. All right, slow down. Tell me what the situation is. They explained the problem to me. Very legitimate problem. Very legitimate concern. No overreacting whatsoever. But then I asked two very important questions, and one was, first of all, do we have a standard operating procedure in writing? That was the key, in writing. We have a standard operating procedure in writing for that particular action? And the answer was, well, no, but everybody knows that that's how you're supposed to do it. Well, first of all, let me dismiss that idea. Everybody doesn't know anything. And if it's not written down on black and white and it hasn't been handed over to them, then you can't require them to be able to be responsible for that. It's just not fair. The second question I asked was, have they been trained on that procedure? Have you specifically told them that this is how it needs to be done? And again, the answer was no. Now, even if we have a standard operating procedure, but we've never actually trained the individual on that, how can we expect them to be required to fulfill that? Now, had the answer been, yes, we have a standard operating procedure, and yes, they've been trained, then we have a whole different question going on, and that is does this person really need to be a part of our organization because they have went off script intentionally, they did not follow our procedures, and they didn't follow their training, and that's a rogue agent, and we probably don't want them in our organization. But in this particular case, it really was that we did not communicate correctly to them what they needed to do. So then my last question to my supervisor there was, well, then whose responsibility is it? And he looked at me and he said, I guess it's ours. meaning the leadership team. And he was correct. That's the right answer. Now, that's an example of being a martyr. We're sacrificing and taking one for the team. We're realizing that we've got to give if we're ever going to expect anybody else to follow suit. So I encourage you to be a martyr in your business, with your employees, be a martyr with your customers, your clients. Give to them. Try to do your very best to outgive them. Give more value than what they pay for. And you'll be surprised at what that does with your client retention, the loyalty factor that will build within them, and just the ability to run a successful business for the long term. So not once but twice this particular idea is repeated. I think it's wonderful, and I think it's something that would benefit you very much in your business.